Kristen Kucharski with Glancer Magazine here at the Yellow Box Church in Naperville for Anderson's Bookshop meet and greet with Sheila E, the legendary Grammy-nominated singer, drummer, and percussionist, to learn more about her new memoir, The Beat of My Own Drum. Okay, hi Sheila, how are you? I'm Kristen Kucharski with Glancer Magazine, and love your book, by the way. Read it cover to cover.
Thank you.
In your book, family is your protagonist, as in always being with you in your biggest performance and your music videos, as well as your antagonist, as in your cousins taking advantage of you when you were a young child. When you think of the word family, what immediately comes to mind?
Love.
Love.
Yeah, love, always, no matter what, love. Unconditional love. Family means everything to me. They're important to my life. They're important to who I am as an artist and my music and the person that I've become.
I love that. After reading your book, I also love your mom.
Everybody loves Mom.
I know I haven't met her, but I love the overall respect you have for your parents, even to the point of telling Prince you didn't want to sing the F word because your mother would have a fit. When parents these days struggle so much with disrespectful children, how did your parents earn your never-ending respect, even to the point in your professional career where you were making decisions based on how you felt they might respond to it?
Well, I respect my parents. I always have. And my parents are people who are not only my parents, but they're my best friends. But I still have that respect level. And there were times where, of course, I'm not an angel. I wasn't great and good all of the time. I turned out okay, as we still talk about our family now. It's like moms and pops, I turned out okay. There were times where I was bad, absolutely. And some lessons learned very quickly, not to disrespect my family, my parents. But the thing is that, you know, there were decisions that I had made during my career, musical career, that I think weren't great decisions, but it was things that I wanted to do, and they allowed me to go through the process, like saying to your children, don't put your hand on the fire because it's going to burn, but we do it anyway.
Right.
Because we end up having to experience what that really means in order to figure out not to do it anymore. Sometimes that happens. So there were some things, but it didn't matter. They still loved me and cared for me and was still very supportive. And we all went through a process of things, you know, together. Mm-hmm. And it takes communication, it really does, with parents and children to be able to keep that bond and that respect. When the communication breaks down, that's when you end up then hiding things. You can't talk to your parents. Parents can't talk to their children. And then there's no respect in a way that, well, it's okay for me to ask my child about this and about that, and it's okay for my child to open up to me. We want that bond, and I think that's what we've always had with our parents.
And it kind of brings me into my next question about your family. Although your dad was an extraordinary musician, he struggled to pay the bills while you were growing up. Even the most financially difficult times, your moms and pops never gave up their belief that God would provide. Somehow through situations that tear most families apart, yours gained strength. How did their faith become so deeply rooted?
Well, I mean, moms and pops have always said, you know, there's always people that are less fortunate than us, even though we don't have great. We are rich in who we are as people, mm-hmm. even though financially and what we have, it's not rich, but that's okay. There were times, I mean, literally that my mom would, if we didn't have milk, she would, you know, use water in our cereal instead. And if we didn't have cereal, then we used bread and milk. It didn't matter.
Right.
The cheapest thing that we ate most of the time was rice and beans because it was cheap. But it never stopped them from giving, no matter what we had. We always actually gave back as well to the community. My parents always said that, like, if there's people less fortunate, let's go back and give to the community anyway. It doesn't mean that because we don't have, we can't give. We can give from our hearts. It doesn't cost anything. And so that was always the way that we grew up, and knowing that God would provide. It doesn't matter what we don't see right here on the table, because we don't see it doesn't mean we can't get it. He always provides for us, and if we know that, then that allows us to walk freely in faith instead of walking in stress. We're too blessed to be stressed, as we always say, and it's easy to say that, but you really have to walk in that. You really have to believe that. And it took us a minute to believe and really know it. You can want to believe it, but you really have to know it, know that you know. And a lot of times it's not easy when we all go through things. And the hardest times, when the real bad times, you want to call on God and go, why? But at the end of the day, it's like, you know my heart, and And at the end of the day, again, you look and you go, well, of course he took care of us always. He always does.
And I think that's probably what I found most compelling about your book, from beginning to end, from your parents' faith foundation all the way to where it brought you back home, back to your faith foundation that
Absolutely.
Your parents established for you. And I think one of the reasons I personally loved your book so much.
Thank you.
Although you played with some incredible musicians like Carlos Santana, Marvin Gaye, Lionel Richie, George Duke, Ringo Starr, Elton John, it appears Prince is to credit for Sheila E. becoming a household name. Why do you think he was so humble in his involvement in co-producing, co-writing, and performing your entire first album, which reached number 28 on the pop chart, was nominated for a Grammy, and received gold?
Well, I did play with many people. I was, when I first met Prince, I turned around and introduced myself to him during his first record, and he said to me, I already know who you are, I'm a fan of yours. And he had been following my career for a while. I was playing with George Duke at the time, and doing a lot of television appearances. Excuse me. So when we finally got together to do my record, he had reached a level of popularity that was greater than mine, and he was in a position to say, hey, I'm signing other artists. I would love to have you on my roster of artists, and I can help you if you have, any songs. We can do it together. Exactly what we did. I played him the songs that I had. We got in the studio. The record was done probably in a week. We just stayed in the studio, recorded it, and it was done. He was in a place of really giving back to a lot of other artists and wanting to get out there great music, and as well as being able to write with people that he hadn't written with. So it was an opportunity for him as well.
Yes?
Sorry. Man.
I think the most compelling part of your book comes next, with my next question, because you had talked about Prince being so enamored with you, taught you the ins and outs of the business. But I can tell you, I was utterly heartbroken in the part when you came home from the Purple Rain tour in debt. And I was mad at Prince for you. Why don't you think he protected you from his management team and your increasing expenses? He wooed you all those years.
Yeah.
What happened?
Interesting enough, we both had the same management. So that was a conflict of interest
Right.
anyway. But yeah, they just, I don't know what happened. It's like not really him taking care of me. He didn't show me all the business. My dad did. All the people, George Duke, all the people that I performed with, they showed me a part of the business and tried to make sure. Even Lionel Richie, before I signed to do all this, like, make sure. He told me, make sure, and I didn't do what he said to do, to make sure. And a part of that was, yes, Prince should have said something as well. He was actually defending his team to say that they didn't do anything wrong, and I said, yes, they did. And when I got my team together to figure out, let's audit them and find out, because this is not right. There were some mistakes in their calculations, and they were double charging me for things, which was even worse.
Right.
Yeah. Up until I did that, had they not known the actual person who was taking care of all the finances had actually stolen millions from Prince as well. So me seeking and digging, no matter what anybody else said, I felt in my heart that there was something wrong. And we pursued it anyway, regardless of the wall that was built to not do it.
Right.
We did it anyway, and it was a good thing that we did.
Good. Well, I was heartbroken and angry for you. So most musicians dream of being famous, and as you put it, the money and the belongings and the applause. You had it. but said it made you demanding, depressed, and surprisingly in debt. If you could redo your musical career, and you had to choose a path and only one, would you pick playing in your dad's band and simply having enough to just pay the bills, or choose the glamorous life with all its ups and downs?
I wouldn't change any of it.
You wouldn't change
And I
it?
wouldn't pick, no. I wouldn't change any of it because there was a reason for me to go through and experience what I did. I could never take back what had happened, but at the same time, where I've gotten because of that is well worth the light at the end of the tunnel. Through all of that, I wouldn't change it.
I sense that from the end of your book.
Oh my God, I would not.
I don't
change
think you can get to a place of serenity until you experience.
You have to experience it, yeah.
You mentioned one of your biggest regrets was not finishing high school with a traditional graduation ceremony. What advice do you have for teens of today regarding education while pursuing your passion?
Absolutely, education is the biggest tool that we could have in pursuing our career. That's the mistake that I made, that I learned from, is reading the fine print and looking at that and realizing this is my career and I love music, but the business part of it is what we're not really officially taught. And that part is the most important part of having a successful career, is to make sure you know the business and make sure you get a team of people that are really helping you, and not just, hey, I'll take care of the bills, but actually teaching you to learn on your own, that if you didn't have them, that you'd know what was going on, and mentoring them in that way. So it's really important to read the fine print, and stay in school is very important.
Very good. You are an incredible musician, but reiterated many times throughout your book that you don't know how to read music. Mm-hmm. You play by ear. Did you ever learn to read music?
I'm teaching myself now.
You are?
Yeah.
Is that one of your bucket list items?
Yes, absolutely. I did go back to school a couple of times to college, even though I didn't graduate. The schools in the Bay Area knew me, and they allowed me to go back to college without my degree, just so that I could take classes for music. But every time I took classes, then I'd get called to go out on tour, and I'd leave. Mm-hmm. So even as of right now, on my iPad, I could show you there's like 5 apps that I'm teaching myself how to read music. So
I find that incredible that you had this entire career based around music, but you didn't read notes, and it's
well, God
awesome.
gave me a gift of hearing very well, a sense that was very strong and powerful, and not realizing that if you played something, I would just play instantly what you played back.
It's amazing. When we watch entertainment shows that share the life of a celebrity, the stories usually include like the highs of young success, and then a life of drugs and sex, and then a road to recovery. But your story was much different. How did you stay clear of the drugs and sex in the midst of the glamorous life?
I think it's because my dad, growing up, there was a time period, my mom and dad, being in the Bay Area, it's like my mom and dad wore platforms, bell bottoms, leather pants, suede pants. They were hip. They were hippie hip, just amazing. And it's that era of, Haight-Ashbury and, Woodstock and all of that. So we grew up in that era. I think I was afraid of it, and I saw people in my dad's band strung out on drugs, and just that whole scene, because I saw that, I was afraid of it, and I think that frightened me, that I didn't want to do that, I didn't want to be that. And it killed, my uncle, and it killed many of our friends, and I just thought, that's not the way to live a life, dependent on a substance, getting to that place. And I think the part about sex is, I just thought it was important even early on. I have 2 parents that were married, fairly young, but they married first, and then they had me and my other 2 brothers and sisters. And that's what I always wanted, was to be married first. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to find someone that I really loved to start a family with. And I didn't believe that, like I saw others sleeping with just whoever or whomever. And I just thought that, how could you just sleep with someone if you don't know them and you don't love them? That didn't make sense to me. Right. But I know that might be old school, but that's how I felt.
I hope my kids feel that same. You pursued your passion. You did talk about a bucket list many times. Give me some things that are still on your bucket list.
Oh my God, they're pages. My bucket list is pages. It's a book.
I know you're going to move from bottom to top, like you said, some things naturally move up, but
Yeah.
you're currently working on learning to read music. What would be more? You want to be an actress?
I want to
think
do a
you shared?
movie. Yeah, I want to do a movie. This book will become a movie. Let's see, what's one of the other things? Just recently, I wanted to open up another club. I have a club in Los Angeles, but now I'm opening my second club. I'd love to do a play on Broadway. I think that I heard that that's a lot of hard work. Like, why do I need to do anything harder than what I'm doing? But I thought that that's just something that I could probably do.
A club in Chicago?
Oh, I could do that.
Club in downtown Naperville?
That would be nice. That would be nice, of course. Yeah. There are many things. You know, again, I can make my bucket list, but then because of something that you think you want to do, and God opens this door over here that you had no idea was open, and you go, oh my God, I never thought of that. And then you go this way, then which allows you to go somewhere else. It's just amazing. So I do my book, and then he does his.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What up-and-coming musicians of today do you think will be legends and stand the test of time?
Wow. Let's try Bruno Mars, I'm hoping. I think he's incredible.
I saw your picture the other day.
Yeah.
You were with him.
Yeah, he's a pretty incredible guy, and we sat down and had a heart-to-heart. It's like, I really want him to win. I want him to sustain. I don't want him to realize that, him being so young, I was there, I understand, I know what that is and what he's going through. And it's just like saying, man, please don't put your hand on the fire.
Right.
Just don't. It's not worth it. So I wish the best for him. I really do. I'm praying. I told him we're praying for you. I said there are a lot of people that we pray for. We have prayer warriors that we have, and at times here's a list of some more people that we pray for. You are on our list, and I said I just want you to know that we are praying for you.
That's awesome. Okay, last question. You mentioned that you give nicknames to many people that are very close to you, and your family gives many nicknames, and that you have 7 of them. What are your 7 nicknames?
Oh, man.
Calling you out in your book.
Sheila, Cho, Leela, Chocho-san, Sheila Rita, Auntie Cho, Nina, Neen. There's more.
I was going to say that's more than 7.
There's more.
And then last but not least, I heard Alleluia Lutheran Church in Naperville is an immediate need for a 10:15 drummer at their Sunday services, and they wanted to know if you were interested.
What time is it?
Well, 10:15 tomorrow morning, so you have to spend the night.
Oh my God. I'll come back and play.
Okay, they've got an immediate need.
I promise I'm going to come back and play.
It's recorded.
That's it.
Thank you so much for meeting with Lancer Magazine. We so enjoyed meeting you.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you.